everyone, good evening and a very warm welcome to Thorough Newspaper Analysis. Now today is 5th of August and this entire video series, it's brought to you by LawSikho. Now let's head to the agenda for today. So the first article for today's discussion would be this: how Jan Vishwas Bill it proposes to deal with substandard drugs. See, this proposed bill, it essentially amends as many as 42 laws, but one particular amendment to the Drugs and the Cosmetics Act, it is very debated. So what is the provision of that bill and why there is a lot of debate around it? That is going to be the scope of today's discussion. Secondly, we have a look at important news updates. And thirdly, we talk about the legal updates of the day. So without further ado, let's start with the TNA and let's start with the why of this article first. See, the Jan Vishwas Amendment of Provisions Bill for 2022, it was passed on Wednesday in the Rajya Sabha, and last week it was passed in the Lok Sabha. This bill, it is aimed at improving the ease of doing business. Now, this bill, it amends as many as 42 laws, and that is across multiple sectors. So we have, laws pertaining to environment, agriculture, media, and publication. But there's this one particular amendment to the Drugs and the Cosmetics Act of 1940, around which there's a lot of debate. So let's understand as to what is that amendment first. See, by virtue of this bill, two sections of the 1940 Act, they are targeted. The first is section 30, subsection 2, and second is section 27. Let's understand the matter with respect to section 30, subsection 2 first. Section 30, subsection 2, what it does is, it provides for penal sanctions against companies which repeatedly use government analysis and the government test reports for promoting their products. Now here, as a penal sanction, the act, it has provisions for imprisonment up to a certain extent, which is 2 years, and it provides for a fine also of not less than 10,000. So there's imprisonment and there's fine. But by virtue of this bill, it does away with that imprisonment and it proposes a fine of minimum 5 lakh rupees, which is a fine not less than 5 lakh rupees. So this is one set of amendment. Second, let's come to section 27. Let's understand the provisions of the section first. So the existing section 27 that we have, it says that let's say there's a manufacturer who manufactures for sale and for distribution, or if there's somebody who sells, who distributes, who exhibits, or who keeps for selling these sort of drugs, which are A, if there's an adulterated drug that has the likelihood of causing death or causing such injury which falls within the ambit of what we understand grievous hurt in the IPC. So a drug, adulterated drug, having the likelihood of causing death or grievous injury. So then the punishment prescribed in the current 1940 Act is up to life imprisonment. The second clause of section 27, it makes punishable offense adulterated medicine that do not fall in the previous category of medicines but are manufactured without a license. This particular offense carries a sentence of up to 5 years. Thirdly, section 27 provides for spurious medicines other than the ones that have fallen in A and B categories, and it carries a sentence of up to 7 years. Now let's come to section 27D, which is the section in which amendment is proposed. So section 27D, it covers any offense which is not covered under categories A, category B, and category C. So let's see as to what is the amendment here. The second amendment, which has attracted the most scrutiny so far, it will change section 32B, subsection 1 of the 1940 Act to allow compounding of the offense under section 27D. So the offense under section 27D, it is made compoundable by making a change in another section, which is section 32B, subsection 1. Now, compounding, what it does is, there are a couple of offenses in Indian Penal Code, which is IPC also, which are compoundable. So when I say an offense is made compoundable, what I mean is that there's a leeway which is given to the parties that you sit together, you resolve your differences, and you enter a compromise. Paying fine merely and not going through the criminal proceeding can do or serve your purpose. So here, what this amendment essentially is going to do is that whenever there is a violation of the provisions of section 27D, then the offender will continue to face imprisonment between 1 and 2 years and a fine of not less than 20,000. But there will also be an alternative mechanism where the company could agree to pay the fine instead of going through the entire criminal proceeding. So if you pay fine, then you do not have to go through the entire criminal proceeding. This is the amendment. Now, question might arise as to, there are a couple of other offenses also within the 1940 Act which are compoundable. So then what is the issue with making section 27D compoundable? The reason that many have raised this issue is that this particular section, it deals with drugs that are not of standard quality or drugs which can be referred to as substandard drugs, hence the title Substandard Drugs. So what is a substandard drug, one might ask, or you may have a question which is a legit and valid question. This, a substandard drug, it would include drug that fail the dissolution test. What is a dissolution test? It is the rate at which a tablet or a capsule releases the active ingredient in the body. Or it also include a drug that does not contain the full dose of the medicine as mentioned in the medicine cover. So if I were to put it lightly, we can say that if there is a drug which is manufactured in contravention of the guidelines that the regulatory body has given, that there has to be the ingredients that is there, the dose quantity that is there in the medicine, it has to abide by the cover that says these are the ingredients. Now how the government has responded is this way. The government maintains that the compounding, it will be available only to manufacturers who are facing jail over minor lapses and not to repeat offenders. And as was expected, the manufacturers, they have welcomed this particular amendment, and they've said that this is going to be a way out for protecting us from long and false prosecutions and litigations, and which is also a sort of stigma in our society, and often the businessmen, they end up losing their business because of this. Now we proceed to the next segment. Thank you for being with us. And now we proceed to the national news category for today, and here's our very first update. Reliance jumped 16 places and now it is at 88th position on the Fortune Global 500 list. Billionaire Mukesh Ambani's Reliance Industries, it has maintained its highest ranking among Indian companies in the latest Fortune Global 500 list, jumping 16 places from last year to now be ranked at the 80th position. If we have a look and trace the kind of progression that the company has made in its ranking from 2021, at 2021 it was ranked at the 155th position, while last year it was ranked at 104th position, and now it has been ranked at 88th position. As many as 8 Indian companies have also featured in this year's ranking. Also, state-owned Indian Oil Corporation, it has jumped 48 places to now be ranked at the 94th position. The President of India, she has inaugurated the Unmesh and Utkarsh festivals in Bhopal. The Indian President, she commenced and inaugurated Unmesh International Literature Festival and Utkarsh Festival of Folk and Tribal Performing Arts in Bhopal in Madhya Pradesh. These festivals, which are organized by Sahitya Academy and the Sangeet Natak Academy respectively, they have a shared purpose of celebrating our inclusivity and the cultural diversity in the region. The Indian Air Force, it has received the delivery of Israeli Spike missiles, which was ordered last 2 years ago. And now the Indian Air Force, it is preparing to conduct trials to check the effectiveness of these missiles. These will be used by the Indian Air Force in their attack helicopters, including the Mi-17 and the India-made Prachand helicopter. This is an important geopolitical update. So India and Nepal, they are planning to convene the seventh meeting of the Joint Commission, which is the highest level bilateral mechanism between the two countries. And this is to look after and to address the entire gamut of the bilateral relations operating between India and Nepal and to remove bottlenecks, if any. This commission, it is also empowered to take decisions and to carve out a new blueprint to govern the bilateral relations between these two countries if the need be. The Reserve Bank of India, it has imposed a late submission fees of rupees 2000 crore, rupees 500 crore each on 5 PSUs. These PSUs include ONGC Videsh Limited, Indian Oil Corporation Limited, and then we have GAIL India Limited and Oil India Limited. The reason for this imposition is the delayed reporting of their overseas investments by these PSUs. The Oil Ministry, which is the nodal ministry for these PSUs, it believes that the responsibility for reporting these transactions, it lies with the State Bank of India and not with these PSUs. India is the fifth among spacefaring nations having end-to-end capabilities in space research and development, including the capability to launch from our own space, our own land, and operate programs of Earth observation, of satellite communication, meteorology, space science and navigation, and ground infrastructure. And this has brought us to the sports-related update segment. City-based international archer who is Bommadevara Dhiraj, he secured second rank in the Paris 2024 Olympic qualifier event in archery. This event is the 2023 World Archery Championships, which is underway in Berlin, Germany. With this, Mr. Dhiraj's berth for the next year's Olympic Games, it is almost confirmed. He finished with 683 points, which is 5 fewer than the double Olympic gold medalist Kim Woo-in. And his teammates, who is Tushar Selke and we have Mrunal Chauhan, they finished at the 55th and the 83rd positions respectively, propelling the squad to come at the 9th position. West Bengal Governor C.V. Anand Bose, he inaugurated an anti-corruption cell at the Raj Bhavan amidst protest by the ruling party, accusing the governor of intrusion in the day-to-day administration, which is in fact the responsibility of the state government. So this is the allegation of the state government. Bose, who stated that such an initiative, it would help common people come forward with their complaints to competent authorities, has dismissed the government's allegation and stated that the cell would not infringe on others' turf. The governor, he had opened a peace room at the Raj Bhavan. This was to address violence-related complaints from people in districts during the recently held panchayat elections. This is a very important update. So the long-awaited report of a commission which was set up to examine the sub-categorization of the other backward classes, it was submitted to President Draupadi Murmu on Monday, which is 31st of July, which is the last working day of the commission. The four-member commission, it is headed by Justice G. Rohini, a retired Chief Justice of Delhi High Court. This commission was appointed way back in October 2017, and its extension of its tenure for completion of this report, it was extended 13 times. The commission, let's understand the scope of its working. So the commission, it had been entrusted with the task to study the various entries in the central list of OBCs. So the central list of OBCs that we have, the commission was to study the various entries therein and to recommend the corrections of any repetitions, of any ambiguities, inconsistencies, and error of spellings or transcription in the list. The work also included the examination of the extent of inequitable distribution of benefits of reservations among the OBCs, and the commission was also to work out the mechanism, the criteria, the norms, and the parameters in a scientific approach for sub-categorization within such OBCs. Noted Marathi poet Namdeo Dhondo Mahanor, he has passed away. Noted and celebrated Marathi poet and lyricist Namdeo Dhondo Mahanor, popularly known as Nado Mahanor, he passed away at the age of 81. He was best known for his poems and lyrics in Marathi movies. Born in 1942, he was awarded with the Padma Shri in 1991, and he has been a member of the State Legislative Council as well. The state cabinet for the state of UP, it has recently given its approval to the policy of making the state a water tourism and adventure sports destination. This policy will be valid for 10 years from the date which is notified by the government. The policy of water tourism and adventure policy, it will be applicable to all inland, land-based, air-based water routes, dams, reservoirs, lakes, rivers and ponds, and all adventure activities to be carried out on various water bodies and land parcels within the jurisdiction of the state. The University Grants Commission, it has announced that it has identified and declared 20 universities across the country as fake. These institutions are not authorized to grant degrees to the students. Among these universities, the highest number, which is 8, it is located in Delhi alone. This has brought us to the international segment for today, and this is our very first update. Russia adds Norway to the list of countries which are unfriendly to its diplomats. Russia added Norway to its list of foreign states that have committed so-called unfriendly acts against Russian diplomatic missions. Norway expelled 15 Russian diplomats for alleged spying in April, and Russia then responded by ordering out 10 Norwegian diplomats. Next update pertains to Niger Independence Day celebration. The Independence Day in the Republic of Niger, it is observed every year on 3rd of August, marking the nation's independence from France in 1960. Since 1975, it is also Arbor Day, as trees are planted across the nation to aid the country fight the evil or the concern of desertification. Parliament of World's Religions, it has invited Jain archer Lokesh Muni as the speaker at the opening ceremony in Chicago. The Parliament of World's Religions, it has invited prominent Jain leader Acharya Lokesh Muni as the speaker at its opening ceremony on 14th of August. The 5-day event in Chicago, beginning 14th August, it is being attended by about 10,000 delegates from 80 countries, and it is said to be the largest gathering of religious leaders from across the world. It is worthwhile mentioning here that Swami Vivekanand, he left a special mark on the spiritual world by participating in Parliament of World's Religions in the year 1839, I'm sorry. 1893. The year is 1893. Prime Minister of Pakistan, Shehbaz Sharif, to dissolve the parliament. The Pakistani Prime Minister, he has announced the dissolution of the National Assembly on 9th of August. According to the constitutional provisions, the President must sign the advice within 48 hours to effectuate the dissolution. If for any reason the President does not sign the advice, the Assembly will be automatically dissolved. Furthermore, the Prime Minister assured that after 3 days of consultation with the opposition, he is going to submit the name of the caretaker Prime Minister to the President. The first new US nuclear plant in decades starts operation. A new reactor at a nuclear power plant in Georgia, it has entered commercial operation, becoming the first new American reactor built from scratch in decades. Canada's Alberta, it cancels bids for 2023 Commonwealth Games. This is another blow for the Commonwealth Game Federation, and because earlier Australia, it also withdrew its bid. and this has brought us to the legal update segment for today. The first update comes from the Honorable Apex Court. The Supreme Court has dismissed a PIL, which is a public interest litigation, filed by Association for Democratic Reforms, challenging the appointment of Arun Goel as a member of the Election Commission of India. The division bench, it noted that the Constitution bench judgment that had recently directed reforms in the process of appointment of election commissioners, it did not pass any orders against Goyal's appointment, though the files related to his appointment were perused. The two-judge bench said that it would not be appropriate on their part to entertain this matter when the matter has already been considered by the Constitution bench in the case of Anup Baranwal versus Union of India. The name of this particular matter is Association for Democratic Reforms versus Union of India and others. The next update also comes from the Honorable Apex Court. So the Supreme Court has observed that the High Court cannot reverse the findings which are recorded by Special Court in corruption cases on the validity of sanction without recording any opinion as to how a failure of justice had in fact been occasioned to the accused. The court also added that an interlocutory application seeking discharge in the midst of trial, it would not also be maintainable. The name of this particular matter is State of Karnataka Lokayukta Police versus S. Subbegovda. The third update also is from the Honorable Top Court. The Supreme Court has observed that it is not mandatory for the claimants to lodge an application for compensation under Section 166 of the Motor Vehicles Act before the Motor Accident Claims Tribunal, having jurisdiction over the area where the accident occurred. The claimants can approach the tribunal within the local limits of whose jurisdiction they reside or carry on business or the defendant resides. This is what the Supreme Court noted while deciding a transfer petition. The name of this matter is Pramod Sinha versus Suresh Singh Chauhan. And with this, we've come to the end of our TNA. In case you want to get access to the free study materials or the TNA slides that have been used in this video, you may join our Telegram channel. For the same, you may click on the link which is given in the description, or you may scan the barcode here. These are the point of contacts in case you want to get in touch with LawSikho. Also, the quiz which is based on the TNA, it is made available for your kind consideration in the description of this very video. Thank you for being with us.